Hello, children. All right, it's time to get your tape measures out and let's see how you measure up against some of the strongest arms in the world. Okay, here's the wrist measurements taken from, we'll get into which tournaments they're from, anyways. Um, Basically, wrist measurements appear flat. They're between 20 and 25 centimeters, about 94% of them fall between 20 and 25 centimeters. Question is, I don't know how big these guys' wrists were before they started training, but this is how big they are after they reached world level. At not, This is how big they are after they reached world level in arm wrestling. There's a slight positive slope with weight. Basically, for every 15 kilograms of body weight, the wrist size goes up about a centimeter, but there's a lot of scatter in this data. All right, same graph. We just threw some names in. So you can see Mr. Levon way out here by himself. Look how lonely this honey badger is. He tends to pull the curve up, and Yusuf Yildizogu? They didn't have letters like this in Kalamazoo, Michigan, where I learned to read. So I think his name is Yildizogu, but don't count me. Don't hold me to that. Here we go. The number 2 arm wrestler in the world, super heavyweight, just above the curve. I'm sorry, Mr. Hermes Gasparini is the number 3, just above the curve. The number 2 and number 4 wrist sizes are just below the curve. Here's the venerable John Brzenk, basically touching the curve. Here's your humble narrator right here, just above the curve. Look at that. Samusha has a wrist size that carries them all the way up to about the 110 kilogram class. Interesting? I don't know. I think so. Oh, you see this right here? This is Herman Stevens, if you know him. He's a legit national level puller, probably a world level puller, probably would have made top 10 had he stayed with it. But he's pulling the curve down for all of us, the American there. Okay, I did this just for fun. I had this theory that maybe the wrist would correlate to height more so than weight. Because I don't think you'd put a lot of size on your wrists on, gaining weight. So I thought maybe this is a skeletal thing. Doesn't really show it. The correlation's a little worse. There's a lot more scatter in the day. Here's Levon. Basically, Levon moved from way up here to way down here because he's not the tallest guy. Herman Stevens looks better. I don't know where he is. I think this is Herman Stevens here. Can't. Anyways, this is just for fun. Don't put too much stock in it. It was just something I tried. All right, going on to forearms. There is a more distinct positive slope there. Scatter's still pretty bad. Contributing to the scatter is just the measurement variability in your forearm. How tight do you pull the strap? Do you put it in the exact same spot every time? Did you have a great big salty dinner right before you measured it? Are you dehydrated? Are your arms pumped from recent exercise? Are you just, is it cold out? Is it hot out? There's just a lot of things that can go wrong to lead to uncertainty in your forearm measurements. So that's why I thought the wrist size would be more correlatable. But again, here's the trend. Like I said, it's a lot more positive. For about every 8 kilograms in body weight, your forearm measurements go up about a centimeter. So if you think your forearms are small and you want to put 2 centimeters on them, basically move up 1.5 weight classes, gain 16 kilograms. Another thing in here is nobody seems to use a lot of decimal points when they measure. So the resolution of the data, pretty rough. All right, same thing again. Levon pulling the curve up, Yusuf pulling it down. Hutchings is below the curve. Brzenk is below the curve. Samusha's kicking everybody's butt right up there. Gasparini definitely high on the curve. Lorette Lalayton. Oh, Vitaly is above the curve. Loret's pulling it down. This dot right here, this one, that's Jerry Caderet. He's like a centimeter below Levon. So he's kind of an outlier. But again, I think he was top 5 super heavyweight at this tournament. So, forearms do tend to try, the best guy in the world is right here. I'm guessing this guy right here can beat all of these people. So it is a trend. What are we looking at? Oh, biceps. This is the one people probably work the most on. And look at this, about 6 kilograms to gain a centimeter on your bicep. Slope's definitely more prominent. Scatter, significant. It might have come down a little bit. Here's the names. This time Yusuf and Levon are both above the curve. Now it's people like Hutchins, Herman Stevens, Devin. We're pulling the curve down. Samusha's right on it. Gasparini's pulling it up. Vitaly, of course these two guys are really, really tall, so their biceps are probably small for their weight just because of how tall they are. But again, best guy in the world, biggest biceps in this sample. Oh yeah, this is Herman Stevens again. Way to go, Herman. Don't let it get you down. All right, so entertainment purposes only, right? The data set was small. I only used a few tournaments. We'll get that in a little bit. There's a lot of scatter in the data, as we saw. And the data is all skewed towards the 105 and heavier weight classes, mostly because King of the Table tends to be a big weight class event. But based on curve fits of the previous data, starting at the 75 kilogram class, you should have 19 centimeter wrists, 37 millimeter to 38 millimeter forearm, 41 biceps. These plus minus numbers, I estimated the sample's really, really small. I got a lot more data in these last 3 weight classes, so these are probably more accurate, but the scatter gets way up. Super heavyweight, need a 23 centimeter wrist, 46 centimeter forearm, 52 centimeter bicep, and that's 52 centimeters plus or minus 7, just to be considered typical. So, it's not so much the size of your arm, it's the size of the weight that it moves, but this is fun. All right, and that's what this is for. Entertainment purposes only. Now let's do some table clearing. All right. These were the tournaments I used because they included the wrist measurements. The wrist measurements are the ones I was most interested in because I was trying to get at a genetics type feel on it. And I figured this is the one you were least likely to manipulate through weight. East versus West 3 through 18, no wrist measurements. King of the Table 5 through 13, no wrist measurements. Come on, people, what's going on here? Some of these King of the Table tournaments had head measurements, for crying out loud. I think you should include the wrist measurements. They do look flat, but if I had a lot more data in the lower weight classes, I think it might be less flat. In my opinion, the wrist is 40 to 60% of your arm wrestling ability. Your forearms probably make up 30 to 40, 30 to 50%, and your biceps are probably 10, 20%-ish after your wrists and forearms. But that's what we got. All right, kids. Call your mom. Do your JM presses. Thanks for joining. Bye.